Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Strelok versus HasuObs. It's the 8th episode of the StarCraft World.IT King of the Hill, a best of 5 between Strelok and the German Protoss player with a TVP, and it's Metalopolis, the Terran player, takes the 12 o'clock start position and starts off as a blue Terran, whereas HasuObs is located on the opposite side of the map. He's located at the 6 o'clock start position, starting in red. The German Protoss player, he's really well known for his epic games and for his very stable play. He's a very solid player with a lot of experience. He was a former Warcraft 3 pro gamer, and of course I don't have to introduce Strelok Timosvi as he's a former Brood War player. And once again, this event is powered by StarCraft World.IT. Check out their website. They actually set up an English website. It's an Italian website, as you could probably already tell, but if you go to koth.starcraftworld.it, then you'll see that they created an English subpage for this event. The winner of this best of 5 takes home €100 and will play in, well, the next King of the Hill. This game marks the end of the 8th season, so there will probably be additional King of the Hills, but for now we'll have a short break. HasuObs chrono boosting his economy right now, getting the first gas. As you can see, we already have his first pylon and the gateway on its way, and on the other side of the map we have Strelok with his barracks. And HasuObs is scouting right now. Always for the Protoss player, it's really important to know if the opponent is starting with gas, if he's going for a 2-rex play, maybe even for a 3 barracks play. We've seen Satini do that lately, and therefore there's a lot of pressure involved if the Terran player actually starts off with a 3 barracks, tries to kill the Protoss player immediately. And for the Protoss, it's really important to know when he can actually place down that expansion, because if he starts off with a 1-gate expansion, for example, a 2 barracks or a 3 barracks play will be really hard to defend against, and Strelok might do a lot of damage if he chooses to do something like that. But right now Strelok is getting his second gas. He's upgrading his command center to the orbital command, and here comes HasuObs' probe trying to get into the main base, but there's already 1 Marine taking care of the probe. HasuObs doesn't scout anything at all. He only knows about the barracks, but that's about it. So there's no scouting information for the Protoss player whatsoever, and in the meantime we have Strelok with his factory being built. So this looks very much like he's going to start with a Banshees. And the main problem is that HasuObs is going for that 1-gate expo that I've been talking about 2 minutes ago, and that might be really hard for the Protoss player to defend against. He needs this robotics, and I don't think that he will get the robotics anytime soon, because with a play like that, usually what you get is additional warp gates to get enough units to be able to deal with bio pushes of your opponent. And HasuObs' robotic facility might be too late. Right now we have a Strelok with a factory still building. There's a reactor being placed down by the Terran player, and of course that starport as well. He's getting a lot of gas right now. He's getting a lot of gas, and by the time the starport is done, he will be able to get that Banshee and of course the cloaking ability as well. As you can see, the bunker at the front of the base is making sure that no additional scouting units are entering the Terran player's main base. And HasuObs getting a second gateway. Of course, he needs those gates. He wants to defend his expansion, and the expo is up and running in about a second. And we have an additional gateway, the warp gate technology, and still no observer anytime soon. There is no robotics, and therefore HasuObs will be in a lot of trouble when that cloaked Banshee is hitting his base. Right now we have the Banshee in production. That's the 200 gas that Strelok needs to get that cloaking ability as well. And we are still waiting for the minerals, though. He's getting additional Marines right now and a tank as well. So maybe he's not relying on Cloak. It would be an easy game for him if he would. But by now HasuObs is trying to get that robotics, so that might actually be just in time. He might lose a lot of probes to the harass by Strelok if the Terran player would have decided on getting that cloaking ability, but he doesn't. He wants to combine the Banshee play with Marines and a tank push with the Siege Tech upgrade. Of course, Strelok doesn't know about what's happening in the main base of his opponent. He only knows about the expansion, but that's about it. As you can see in the vision of Strelok, he knows about that expansion attempt, but he doesn't know what HasuObs was going to do after that. So he doesn't really know that this observer would be just a little bit too late. But as you can see, the timing of HasuObs is nearly perfect. That observer is already being built, chrono boosted, and the Banshee would have been able to deal some damage to the economy, but still HasuObs with a very, very nice timing, and obviously he made sure that his timings were perfect. He plays a lot of training games, especially with players in his team, like for example Thorstein. He has a lot of good training partners, and there are a lot of good Terran players in Europe and especially in Germany as well, of course. That Banshee trying to harass the Protoss player quite a bit. We have 37 probes right now against 24 SCVs, and Strelok doesn't get any additional workers. He is now just trying to get some damage done to the economy of his opponent, but losing that Banshee, and that is really, really crucial. HasuObs able to defend against that play, and the second Banshee wasn't able to deal any damage at all either. As you can see, 0 kills for that second Banshee, and HasuObs defending quite nicely against that attempt of Strelok to put some pressure on the German Protoss player, and now getting all those SCVs preparing for that push, for that kind of all-in. He doesn't have too many SCVs back home. There's that one mule mining as well as a bunch of SCVs, but if HasuObs is able to defend against that push, he will be in a beautiful position, and the observer timing is perfect. He knows what's happening, he's aware of the situation, and as you can see, there's one Banshee, a lot of Marines. There are 19 in total, and all that HasuObs has right now are 3 Zealots, 6 Stalkers, and that's about it. HasuObs desperately needs additional units, losing 2 of the Stalkers already, trying to get some damage to this push of his opponent, but I don't think he will be able to defend against that. There are a lot of Zealots though, but the Marines without stim, but the tanks with the siege ability are sieged already, and they deal a huge amount of damage to the Protoss army, and the Protoss player is losing units left and right. The Zealots are trying to get close to the tanks, but being annihilated by the Marines, and there is no way that HasuObs can defend against it. He lost way too many units already, trying to get another warp in round into the game to defend against those Marines. 2 tanks are already being killed, but this looks pretty grim for HasuObs. He's losing probes now as well, trying to pull off the probes in order to defend against the push, killing a bunch of Marines, but it's not enough. It's not enough right now. Strelok with a nice opening into this game. He's on 35 supply for HasuObs, 41 now against 52. And even though HasuObs tries to get a cannon into position as well, it doesn't look good for the Protoss player from Germany. He's going to lose his Nexus, and there's 1 bunker being built by Strelok. 2 siege tanks are in position, and the German player is not leaving the game as of yet. But as you can tell, with 38 army supply, 40 army supply against 24, the Terran player is in a beautiful position, and of course, his army supply is not the only thing going for him. His worker supply is a little bit behind, but with his mules he can make up for that easily, especially with his army annihilating every single unit in HasuObs' arsenal. HasuObs now losing his Stalkers as well. And the Marines walk up the ramp into the main base of the German Protoss player, and all those, well, he will be able to deny mining and kill a lot of probes, so I don't think that HasuObs will stay in that game for much longer. He's losing all the units that he's trying to warp in. Of course, there's still that Banshee in the army mix of the Terran player, and Strelok playing this beautifully. Nice pressure by the Terran player. He dealt with the situation quite well, and that's the GG! And Strelok pulls ahead 1-0 against HasuObs. Very, very well done, and we'll jump into game number 2. Talrumata, game number 2, StarCraft World IT King of the Hill. Strelok against HasuObs, and as you can see, Strelok, the Ukrainian Terran player, is leading with 1-0 against HasuObs. Dennis Schneider from Germany is starting at the bottom right as the red Protoss once again, and to the top left we see Strelok starting as the blue Terran. Are you going to Stalker blink me? Strelok apparently doesn't like it that with a proper blink Stalker placement you can kind of abuse, where is it, the positions back here. So Yeah, every protest does 4 gates blink on this map, so apparently he had some bad experience with the pros players on Tal'Darim Altar versus no gas expansion, which is of course one of the strategies that Strelok could use to get into that game. Makes sense then. A little bit chit-chat between the players. And actually, if you are on, well, some offline event where there are players available, make sure to talk to them just a little bit about the games, or just listen to when they talk about their own matches or matches of other players. It's pretty interesting because they have such a deep insight into the game, and it's pretty cool to listen to them talking about the details of the game. And most of the players really don't mind if you approach them, want to get an autograph, for example, or just talk to them a little bit. And there are quite a lot of players, quite a lot of fans that apparently don't want to bother them too much, which I kind of understand perfectly. But usually, if you just see them sitting around somewhere, for example, CBIT, when there was the IEM, they are pretty bored because they can't practice on PCs, so use that opportunity to get some idea of what the players are actually dealing with when they play a game like that. It's pretty impressive. Right now we have the barracks for Strelok, and he's not going for the fast expansion without gas. He's getting a refinery. At the other end of the map we have HasuObs already with the cybernetics core being built. Of course, he needs those scouting information once again in order to get an idea of what Strelok is going to do, but with those positions the Terran player is pretty unlikely to go for that barracks pressure that he applied on the push that he applied on the map before, and HasuObs will probably try to get an early expansion himself if the Terran player decides to go for an early command center. We'll see about that, as Strelok is now getting that tech lab, might use a Reaper in order to scout and maybe snipe off 1 or 2 drones. He's going for the Marauder, and at the same time still trying to scout his opponent. HasuObs is pretty happy with just letting his probe stay at the Xel'Naga watchtower to get a good idea of when the Terran player is moving out, getting that early expansion that I was just referring to, and of course the warp gate technology. Strelok by now is aware of the situation, is aware of that expansion, but he's still on 1 barracks, now getting his own expo, getting that command center, and HasuObs of course building the 2nd gateway. We'll soon add a 3rd one in order to be able to counter pushes of his opponent, and Strelok at the same time just trying to get as many ACVs as possible, constantly producing workers, getting those mules into the game in order to get a decent amount of minerals, so he's able to get additional buildings, especially of course additional. He can text right away. He knows about the expansion of his opponent, so he doesn't really need to get those barracks, but he probably will. And he's going for the ninja expansion. That's pretty cool. Strelok going for the ninja expo at the top right of the map. He's making good use of those minerals, and HasuObs probably won't be able to scout that for a while. I don't think that HasuObs is really going to scout that position again, because, well, why would he? There's no reason. There's no reason whatsoever to scout to the top right again. As you can see, Strelok denied that scouting probe, and therefore HasuObs just has to assume that besides that command center, the Terran player is adding additional barracks, which he's doing right now, and maybe a factory already. But Strelok with a Ninja Expo will be able to get a good economy going and maybe get that small edge over the Protoss player that he needs to win this game and take the 2nd game as well. Strelok now getting that stim pack, and HasuObs with that Stalker. Is he really going to scout? He's just making sure that there isn't any fancy play going on, just checking out if something of the Terran player is being built back there. And a Ninja Expo is, most of the time, it's really, really worth it. Usually you don't get a planetary fortress, but an orbital command, because the main goal of you is to get as many resources as possible. And a lot of players will even just call the mules, all the mules, down to that expansion instead of leaving 1 or 2 in their own main base to make sure that if the Protoss player is actually scouting with an observer, for example, the mineral line at the natural expansion or the main base, and they don't see a mule, that they will assume that there has to be another expansion somewhere on the map. But a lot of players won't really care about that. They will just call the mules down to the expo in order to get as many minerals as possible from that expansion, because they expect it to die anyways at some point in time. And as you can see, Strelok trying to wall off with those bunkers, HasuObs with a small push, and he has a decent amount of stalkers already, 2 zealots, but he won't be able to kill the bunkers without any sentries creating force fields in order to prevent the SCVs from repairing them. And Strelok is fairly safe right now. HasuObs trying to take control of the Xel'Naga watchtowers right now. As you can see, we have him on 44 worker supply against 39. That's 14 to 16 army supply. And that expo is running fairly well. There are all those mules that I was talking about. The goal of Strelok will be to mine those minerals as fast as possible. That will leave him a lot more minerals in his main basin at the natural, so it will not be outmined that fast, because mules are quite in the pain in the ass if it comes down on to mining out your natural and your main base. That bites a lot of Terrans in the ass in the late game, because they don't expect their mineral lines to run out that fast. But for now, HasuObs is trying to get an expansion himself. He's trying to kill those destructible rocks. And of course, as a Protoss player, if you have that third base, you can open an additional tech tree. You can go for a double forge play, for example. You use all those upgrades, get Colossus as well, or maybe Storms, Templars with the Storms. That's one thing to do. HasuObs has 3 gas right now. He didn't take the 4th gas yet. And at the same time, in his main base, he's already getting the first upgrades. He's on plus... he will be on +1 armor in a while. And as you can see, a robotics facility has been built as an observer on his way. Twilight Council also being warped in. And at the same time, Strelok is still calling down mules and is creating additional SCVs. Right now, he's on 53 SCVs. HasuObs on 53 probes, thanks to the Chrono Boost. And we have 1 missile turret. And of course, with the missile turret, he is able to scan if any, or scout if any DTs are trying to get into his main base. And also very important are those supply depots, so he will be able to see that pylon down there, and HasuObs won't be able to warp any units up that cliff. He's going to get, getting his Nexus right now and researching further upgrades, +1 attack upgrade being researched as well as charge. And here we go, the pylon. And Strelok, yes, he's able to see it. He knows about it, but still his economy is pretty awesome. He's on 2,000 minerals per second, of course, has a lot of gas being mined as well. And HasuObs Observer didn't scout anything unexpected. He may realize, or may recognize that the Terran player doesn't have all that many SCVs at his natural as he would have expected, but still maybe realizing that there are not that many mules. Actually, there are no mules whatsoever. But he's not scouting yet. He's not scouting yet, so he might have missed that there are no mules at the expansion. And still, Strelok with that expo getting gas now as well, calling down additional mules. And HasuObs is losing his pylon as well. Of course, Strelok saw it thanks to those 2 deploy depots, using the medevac in order to kill the warp-in pylon. HasuObs, with the help of his, or while getting his 3rd expansion, is now getting Psionic Storm. Templar Archive is ready. Charge nearly down the +1 attack upgrade as well. Let's have a look at the numbers. 65 army supply against 57. And 70 worker supply against 65. Strelok is ahead with 140 supply against 130. Of course, he's getting upgrades for his bio army as well. We have him on 1-1 upgrades, getting the +2 attack upgrade, Medivacs. And I am still missing... I'm still not 100% sure if I missed that Ghost Academy, but apparently he doesn't have one. I would highly recommend him to get a Ghost Academy, because if you're facing a Protoss player, especially if you're facing one late game, of course you want those Ghosts to use the EMP against the shields and the Templars as well. Maybe get off a couple of snipes in order to take out the high Templars directly. There are a lot of barracks being built for him, and that's the Ghost Academy. He's getting the Ghost Academy. Okay, brilliant. So we will see Ghosts as well. Here we go. And still that Ninja Expo of Strelok wasn't scouted at all. He's getting a fair advantage in economy over HasuObs, although the Protoss player by now has a 3rd base as well. Strelok is now getting his 4th and moving out with his Bioforce, trying to put some pressure on his opponent. We have him on 95 army supply right now against 87. Clearing the Xel'Naga watchtowers. There are still a lot of observers on the map, so HasuObs is aware of what's happening. He sees the Terran player pushing out, Mervis Reactor being researched, Concussive Shell, +2 armor, +2 attack, and HasuObs is ready. He has those High Templar, and here come all those Zealots streaming in. The Storms are, of course, dealing a lot of damage to the Terran player right now, and the charge is being put to some good use. Strelok losing all those units Oh my god, he didn't deal all that damage, did he? There are too many Zealots just charging in, annihilating everything. And the German Protoss play with some nice feedbacks against the Medivacs as well. And the Zealots kill all those units. Very, very impressive by HasuObs. Strelok lost a lot of units and resources right there. 4,000 resources lost for the Terran player, and the Protoss player with only half the resources lost. But with all those production buildings that we've seen earlier, of course, Strelok is able to rebuild his army quite easily. We have Archons in the mix right now as well. Of course, those High Templars use their energy and therefore being put to some good use by being morphed into an Archon. So here we go, trying to get some pressure on his own onto the fourth base of Strelok. That's a planetary fortress, and he's attacking it immediately. There's the repair by the force fields. The force fields prevent the SCVs from repairing it, and the planetary fortress is going down. The planetary fortress is dead. Strelok not able to deal damage to the army of his opponent, but is now trying to get into the fight. Another storm hits the bio army, and there are those EMPs that we've been missing in the last fight. The ghosts are ready now, and once again Strelok might be able to use Stim in order to chase down those units of his opponent, and has to fight. He knows that. He's trying to fight, but there are way too many bio units. Very nice micro by Strelok as well, trying to use the Zealot, dealing good amount of damage to the Zealot. There are none left, and the Archons are dying as well. Blink being used to at least escape with the last few surviving Stalkers, but there's another High Templar getting off another storm, but not killing anything, dealing some damage to the Marauders. But still, the Terran player from the Ukraine prevails, and he's now on 163 supply. He lost his fourth base, but still, HasuObs still assumes that Strelok is on 3 bases. He still doesn't know about that Ninja Expo up there. And of course, that energy on the orbital command is really doing a number on HasuObs, even though he doesn't know. He has to wonder at this point how Strelok is able to reproduce his army to that fast, and how he can just maintain that huge force, all those upgrades and the tech as well. He's getting Dark Shrine right now, additional armor upgrades as well. They are so important if you play really, really Zealot heavy, and that's exactly what HasuObs is doing. But with the double forge, he can just get a ton of upgrades. And here we go, getting off another storm, trying to put some pressure on the Medivacs. And once again, here comes Strelok, getting off some decent EMPs. Very nice. And HasuObs with some missed micromanagement right there, but the ghosts are all dead. There's still way too many Marauders right now for the Terran, and Strelok just stimming his way in, killing so many units, putting a lot of pressure onto Hasu, and the Protoss player doesn't look all too well right now. He doesn't look very good. He's on 125 supply, but now Strelok being sandwiched, using a lot of Stim. The army's nearly dead. Another storm would do wonders to those Marauders, but there are no High Templars whatsoever. There's one. Will he be able to get a storm up? He will, but there is... the Marauders are not close enough. But those Stalkers with the 2-2 upgrades are clearing that force of Strelok quite easily now. He overused Stim quite a bit. Those Medivacs already died ages ago. There is no way to heal those hit points that they lost. And with a nice snipe, Strelok is taking out the Nexus. So HasuObs back on 3 bases as he built a 4th base in the meantime. As you can see at the bottom of the map, that's the 4th base by HasuObs. But with that base being killed, he's back on 3 base to mine. And now some decent drop play by Strelok as well, trying to take out the Templar Archive, preventing HasuObs from warping in additional High Templars. He's still on 175 supply, has a very, very nice supply lead against his opponent. HasuObs only on 137 right now. And do we have any DTs on the map? No, we don't. We have the +3 and +3 attack and +3 armor upgrade coming up for the Terran player, and that expansion is still not scouted. I mean, he nearly mined out all those mineral patches. And once again, Strelok with the attack, taking the initiative in the game right now. There are 2 Colossus already in play, as well as those High Templar. That's a lot of area effect damage, of course. and Strelok is struggling. Strelok is struggling against that army of his opponent because by now HasuObs is finished with his +3 armor upgrade, and he has a lot of units, a lot of area of effect damage as well. And another thing is that Strelok doesn't control too many medivacs right now, does he? He only has 4 in the mix, and they are far away. But that attempt by Strelok to kill that 4th base was quite successful. HasuObs not able to warp in that Nexus again. And Strelok should really think about expanding himself once more, because by now all those minerals patches are about to be empty. As you can see, there's only 1 left in the main base, and that 4th base is not looking too bad, but still, he would be well advised to get another expansion up and running. HasuObs with the Templar Archive finishing it once again, and of course the first DTs are being warped in. But where exactly are the Dark Templars? Where are they? Here we go. 1 DT. Will it be scouted? 200 supply for both players. Well, about 200 supply. And that's a huge Marauder force. That's a ton of Marauders. That's 50 Marauders with 2 upgrades. 3 in a second. And of course, by now we have the ship attack upgrades as well. He's trying to get Vikings against the Colossus, and here are all those High Templars once again using Storm. And from the back, the Colossus are dealing their area effect damage as well. But nice EMPs by HasuObs. By Strelok, sorry. He's maxed out on upgrades right now, but oh, he needs to move back with those. What is he doing? What is he doing? He needs to move back. He lost all the Marauders. All the Marauders is attacking the 4th base at the same time. He's attacking the main base, trying to snipe that Nexus at the natural expansion and clearing those Zealots as well. Very nice by Strelok, using attack at 2 different points on the map, but still he lost way too many units to HasuObs' area of effect spells when he didn't pay attention to his Marauders, to his main force. That was quite a blunder by the Ukrainian player that could cost him the game. He's back on 136 supply right now, and HasuObs trying to pressure him with that DT as well, trying to prevent that 4th base. And by now, yep, finally we have 1 Zealot up here trying to deal damage to Strelok's economy, and he's preventing the Terran player from mining at his Ninja expansion. And at the same time, HasuObs is moving forward with his main force, trying to save his Colossus. Nice storms, beautiful storms. The Colossus, 2 of them are down or being killed, but still 3 of them survive. And 142 supply still for HasuObs with some nice comeback. Really, really well done by the German player. Strelok didn't benefit from that expansion all too much. He had a huge lead in supply, but he couldn't really make it count. He still lost 7,000 resources more than his opponent. So HasuObs playing really effective right here with the number of units and the arsenal that he's got. Strelok was wasting a lot of resources and units in those attacks, but still, if not for that one single mistake where he lost so many Marauders to the Storms and the Colossus of his opponent, then HasuObs would have been in a really, really bad spot. But he kept fighting, and he might be rewarded for that fighting spirit. But now Strelok once again using his Marauders to stim in and kill the Colossus, and the 3rd one, it will die as well, as there are a huge number of reinforcements for the Terran player, killing everything in his path. Even though Strelok doesn't have enough medivacs, he still has enough Marauders to put a number onto HasuObs' army. He's on 19 Marauders right now, 7 Marines and 5 medivacs. Getting another expo, and that's quite cheeky right there. Moved with this orbital command to the right, well, to the 3 o'clock position, and is mining now with all those mules once again. As you can see, his mineral income is on 2,200. He has 500 gas per minute as well. And there are still two stalkers by HasuObs but being killed right now, so they did a really good job at putting some pressure on that expansion because they were out of the range of the planetary fortress. So very well done by Hasu. He's getting another expansion by on his own right now. As you can see, we have Nexus being warped in, but Strelok should be able to see. Yep, he knows about the expansion. So the Medivac just scouted that expansion attempt, and HasuObs will need to cancel it. He needs to cancel it. Here we go. And the Terran player is ahead in supply once again. He's on 174 against 171, 3 upgraded Marauders with all the upgrades that you need. What about the Protoss player? He could get those shield upgrades, of course, but they are horribly expensive. Even the +1 shield upgrade costs 200 minerals and 200 gas. HasuObs focusing on getting additional Colossus. He has a decent amount of Zealots already, 27 Zealots and 2 Archons, 2 Colossus and 3 High Templar. And he's still lacking the +3 attack upgrade. He probably should get that. In the back, there's Strelok attacking once again, trying to deal some damage to the Expo, maybe sniping it. At the same time, he's moving forward with his main force to kill that expansion, that 4th base by HasuObs. But Hasu has enough units to defend against that push. All those Zealots are charging in, and of course the Colossus in the back are dealing a huge amount of damage as well. With an extended thermal lance upgrade, they have a fairly decent range of 9, so there's actually no danger for the Colossus whatsoever as long as there are enough Zealots in the mix. And still, HasuObs didn't scout that expansion at the right side of the map. So those ninja expansions of Strelok are quite successful in this game. They keep him in this match in the second game, the StarCraft World IT King of the Hill. And while we're having a short break, both players are just trying to stabilize right now. Martin sends his regards to one of his friends, and yeah, I forgot his name actually. That's pretty stupid. To Demonhus. Sorry for that. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I suppose that he's Italian, so I might be horribly wrong about that. But Martin sends greetings to Demonhus, says hi, and at the same time, we have that small force of Strelok that's probably going to say hi to HasuObs' economy pretty soon. But well, he apparently changed his mind. At the same time, the main force is just moving out. As you can see, we have HasuObs with all his units at the bottom, just trying to defend his eco. Both players are on 200 supply right now. Once again, this match is just epic. That's just brilliant. We have them both on a roughly 30,000 resources lost. And now Strelok is moving a nice feedback on the Medivac, but that force will be cleared, no problem whatsoever for the Protoss player. And what I especially love about HasuObs' play right now is that he still keeps DTs in the mix. He keeps DTs in his main army, so he's able to force a continuous scans of his opponent, and that's of course one thing that you really want to do. You want to limit that spare energy on the command centers, because elsewise the Terran player will be able to use way too many mules, and DTs deal so much damage, so that DT will be able to deal a lot of damage to those Marauders. But still, that's a fairly high Marauder count. We are back on 57 Marauders right now, which is really quite a lot. 88 probes against 56 SCVs, and that's another problem for the German player. He has way too many workers right now, therefore the army supply of Strelok is superior to his own, and there's Strelok moving in once again. 142 army supply against 109. Another storm hits the Vikings. They're being sniped. There is no threat to the Colossus now in the army mix, but there are just way too many Marauders. Way too many Marauders, dropping now the expansion of HasuObs as well, doing him a favor, killing all those probes, because HasuObs has way too many. He's on 2,000 spare minerals and 1,000 gas, and here's the main fight approaching. The DT is down, there are additional storms. Look at those Marauders, they're just insane. They're just taking every single hit and still annihilating a huge number of Protoss units. HasuObs doing very well though in that fight, and Strelok not really microing all that well. Once again, he lost a huge amount of units, and now the Protoss player is ahead in army supply. We have him on 73 army supply against 62. The area of effect damage proves to be really fatal to Strelok. He's not getting any additional ghosts. He totally abandoned the idea of getting ghosts and using those EMPs. He's focusing on his Marauders, he's focusing on the Medivacs, and it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Well, we might be mistaken, but still, an additional EMP now and then wouldn't be all too bad, because HasuObs still has a lot of High Templars in his mix, and those storms are really brilliant against the bio army of Strelok, as we could once again witness in the last fight. The German players on 180 supply, and the Ukrainian Terran on 146, and now another approach, and as you can see, stimming away from the storms, trying to save his army. And with those 2 Colossus in the back, HasuObs is able to deal a lot of damage. He's 30 supply ahead right now. His army supply is on 62. Strelok was able to get additional units into the game and therefore is on 94 supply once again. And let's have a look at those worker numbers. Oh my god, HasuObs is on 92 drones right now. That's way too many. That's way too many drones, probes, sorry, for the Protoss player. We have Strelok on 41, and of course he can rely on a smaller number of SCVs because he has those mules, he has enough command centers, and by now HasuObs was able to spot that expansion of Strelok. He knew that something was up, and therefore those mules will be killed. They have 3 armor but are not able to attack. Well, thankfully, because elsewise Strelok would just call them down into the main base of his opponent, but now he's just getting feedback with those medivacs, dealing a lot of damage. HasuObs in quite a bit of trouble, but still those 2 Colossus with 24 kills and 11. Hasu has to retreat using Blink, killing the rest of the Marauders, but the reinforcements are streaming in, taking down the Colossus. 1 and 2. HasuObs still on 126 supply, but most of it is worker supply. Most of it is worker supply. He has 92 worker supply still against 39. He should have killed his probes and freed that supply so he could build additional units, but he didn't do it. Strelok is on 58 army supply against 41. Oh my god, this could be it. This could really be it. Will HasuObs be able to defend against that push? Will he be able to hold that expo? There's another storm, and right now Strelok doesn't have any mining whatsoever. He's not mining. Well, he's actually... Where exactly is he mining? He is apparently using... Yeah, over there he has at least 1 command center, and apparently at his fourth base he's still mining a bit. But HasuObs now with a lot of units. He has double the supply of his opponent, and Strelok is losing army supply every single second. So... yeah, there are still a lot of mineral patches at that expo, but still, HasuObs, let's have another look. Of course, he has a superior income because of that huge amount of workers, but the army supply is what counts, and by now HasuObs should have been able to replenish that. He's on 77 right now, and Strelok looks like he's really going to lose that game. After all, here's the GG. I can't believe it. Strelok losing after all, even though HasuObs had 100 supply in workers. He's able to beat the force of Strelok, the Bioforce, every single time with the help of his area effect damage. What a crazy game. What a crazy game. A lot of comebacks back and forth. Very impressive. And this is the 1-1. HasuObs able to tie the series, and we will see a 3rd game within 1 or 2 minutes. Brilliant, brilliant play by those two. Very, very entertaining. Xel'Naga Caverns, game number 3, Strelok against HasuObs, game number 3, and the score is 1-1. We have the StarCraft World IT King of the Hill, and after pulling ahead 1-0, Strelok lost the game on Tal'Daram Altar. HasuObs doing some really nice comebacks. Even though he had a lot of probes in supply, 100 probes is definitely too much. He was supply capped quite often, especially in the later stages of the game, and with about 20 or 30 less probes, he would have been able to have a lot more army supply. At some point, Strelok was even ahead with 40 army supply, 140 against 100, but with all that area of effect damage, HasuObs still able to deal a lot of damage to the bio army of the Terran player, especially because in the later stage of the game, after the mid-game, Strelok didn't get any additional ghosts. He was relying on his Marauders and the Medivacs, and he made some really weird decisions. At some point, Strelok lost half his army because he didn't really pay all that much attention to his main force while dropping with an additional Marauder army to kill that, to snipe that one Nexus of HasuObs. Strelok playing not all that resourceful, and even that ninja expansion didn't save his ass in the end. HasuObs just taking him apart in the later stages of the game. Pretty close though, a lot of comebacks, very entertaining game. And now we have Xel'Naga Caverns. The distances on that map are a lot shorter than on Tal'Daram Altar, of course. HasuObs is scouting, is getting into the main base of his opponent, and immediately being greeted by one SCV that tries to chase the probe away. The barracks being built. HasuObs knows about the gas, of course. And at the same time, we have for the Protoss player his cybernetics core. Here we go. So right now, HasuObs has to decide when to get his expansion. Therefore, he will want to stay in the main base of his opponent for as long as possible, just to get an idea of when Strelok is going to either expand himself, get some upgrades or additional barracks. But the Marine is already out on the field, attacking the probe right away. HasuObs retreating, won't lose that early scout to the Marina. And at the same time, there is one SCV of Strelok getting a factory. Woohoo! That's cheeky. Getting a factory right away, pretty close to the main base of his opponent. I seriously doubt that HasuObs is going to scout that spot. He probably won't. And at the same time, we have the second refinery coming up. So right now, the Terran player is getting double gas, is getting the expansion, is getting a tech lab as well. And HasuObs, what's he doing? He's going for the assimilator. He has one gate so far and is just getting additional Storkers. We have that factory being finished in a second, and of course for Strelok right now, there's concussive shell in the mix as well. And here we go with an additional Marauder. The factory has been finished, and Strelok, now mining out of 2 refineries, is floating over with that factory and just trying to scout his opponent. HasuObs is aware of that factory echo. He's just using it to get some scouts in and building Hellions as well. Would have been great if Strelok would have actually scouted that there is a pilot and tried to place the factory down somewhere in the back so that he could make use of this Hellion. But still, that one Stalker won't be enough to kill the factory. And at the same time, we have the Terran player just moving out, trying to get up that ramp, put some pressure on the Protoss player. And there is no sentry. As for now, we have 2 gateways being built, 2 additional ones. And that's some nice pressure on the Protoss player. All those bio units are streaming in. And if they're able to kill that pylon, that it would be huge. That would be huge for Strelok. But right now, he's happy with just forcing HasuObs to pull off all those probes, building additional Hellions. And now HasuObs is in a lot of trouble. It's not enough to close that ramp. He doesn't even have a sentry for the force fields. He's relying solely on Stalkers. The Stalkers being annihilated, of course, by the Marauders. And this is very, very well done by Strelok, but at the same time, Hasu trying to defend now with using his probes as well. There's one Stalker still alive. Of course, the Hellions are moving in once again. 2 of the workers have been killed by Strelok already. HasuObs down to 29 supply against 33. He has a lot of minerals, though. He's not able to get units into the game because his gateways are just morphing, but now he will be able to warp in units, and this looks pretty good for the German player, to be honest. He's on 25 probes against 25 SCVs. He will be able to defend against that push of his opponent, and he already has 1 pylon in position. But at the same time, Strelok is getting 2 additional bunkers. He wants to make sure that HasuObs is not rushing into his main base, won't be able to break that wall in, and with the help of those 2 bunkers, he should be able to defend quite easily against that push. At the same time, we have that Banshee for Strelok and HasuObs without a robotics. He doesn't have a robotics bay. The Banshee is on its way. The second is being built, and of course the cloaking field being researched. HasuObs containing his opponent. He's completely content with the situation, getting an expansion himself, and he doesn't really expect that Banshee to attack him. And I think we will see GG any second, because right now Strelok, there's nothing HasuObs can do. There is nothing he can do. He doesn't have a forge. He can't place cannons. He doesn't have a robotics. The only thing that he can do is try to get up that ramp and kill Strelok, but that's all there is. And now the Banshee is in the main base of his opponent, killing the first probe. Doesn't even need to use Cloak because there are no units being warped in right now. There's the first Stalker, and where's the cloaking field? Here we are, cloaking field being used. The second Banshee is chasing off the Stalkers, and there's the GG. And Strelok with some nice strategy, defeating HasuObs and pulling ahead in this best of 5 series once again. Terminus, game number 4. Strelok is ahead with 2-0 against HasuObs, and if he is able to take this map as well, he will be the champion in this King of the Hill Best of 5 series powered by StarCraft World IT. Make sure to check out StarCraft World IT. If you don't speak Italian, I kind of assume that most of you guys out there don't speak Italian, then you should probably use the URL koth.starcraftworld.it. That's the English subpage for that series. It's the 8th King of the Hill match, and we will have a short break after this week's match between Strelok and HasuObs, and then the series will probably be continued with the 3rd season. As you can see, the 12 o'clock start position belongs to Strelok, the Ukrainian Terran player, once again in blue, starting off with a supply depot, and on cross position we have HasuObs at the 6 o'clock position. HasuObs right now in red once again, and he's getting his first gateway. We know about already, because of the last few games, that's really crucial for the Protoss player to get an idea of what the Terran is doing. If you don't get into the main base of the Terran player, then you kind of have to play pretty blind. What the Terran player can do, he can, for example, just get 2 barracks, he can do a 3 barracks opening, and you won't be aware of the threat to your own base. At the same time, you could also just go for a non-gas expansion, just build the expo somewhere over here and fly it over to the natural expansion, whereas HasuObs, of course, has to risk placing a nexus to his natural, and it's all about timing. HasuObs has to decide if he wants to go for a 1 gateway expansion, if he wants to go for a 3 gateway expansion, or if he decides to do some kind of all-in play. I mean, you can of course always try to use the occasional 4 gate, but on a map like this, it's not really all too easy. Blink Stalkers are another option that you could lose, but usually, especially HasuObs, Protoss players are relying on that expansion play, trying to play against at least a 2-base strategy, if not a 3-base strategy, and that's what we are probably going to see by the German player now. Strelok is not getting gas, as you already noticed, so we will see an early expansion of the Ukrainian Terran. He's already saving minerals, and he will build that command center. Here we go, the SCV is already in position and throwing down the command center right now. HasuObs at the same time accumulating enough minerals to get his expo as well. So here we go, that probe just waiting for the 400 minerals, and the Nexus will be warped in. So HasuObs will be safe. He doesn't have any scouting information whatsoever. He doesn't even know where his opponent started out. His SCV is his probe actually is just hovering at the Xelnaga watchtower right now. Both players going for the fast expansion, so they are fairly safe in the early stages of the game. Now we have Strelok getting gas, and of course he needs those additional barracks. What you want to do if you start off with a 1 Rex expansion is you skip gas in order to have enough minerals to support your to get your expansion being ready as fast as possible, and at the same time build those 2 additional barracks to get as many bio units as fast as possible in order to defend against a push, because HasuObs could still be doing some gateway aggression, could still try to get a 4 gate, for example, maybe a 6 gate later on, so you definitely need enough units to be able to counter that. But by now Strelok knows that HasuObs is getting an expansion himself. He scouted with 1 LCVs, knows that he's fairly safe, getting a lot of Marines though, and of course trying to secure that expo as soon as he flew it over to the natural. He's upgrading it to the orbital command now, which is something you should definitely do if you are a Terran player. Upgrade the command center in your main base, so you can already use that mule even if the Protoss player is able to delay that expo and block that spot where you want to land your command center. Strelok with the first bunker being built. Of course, now he has to start his tech fairly soon. He's getting tech labs now, tech labs and reactors, and can research concussive shell, stim, and of course combat shield as well if he decides to get additional Marines. And he will place down a factory very soon as well. We have 2 refineries already getting a fair amount of gas. HasuObs finished his Nexus by now as well, and here's that stim that we've been talking about, so the second upgrade for the Bioforce, while HasuObs is getting additional gateways. Basically the same idea as for the Terran player. You want to get enough gateways to be able to deal with early pressure of the Terran player, therefore you need those gateways before you get that robotics facility. Some players, for example Elfie, tried quite often to get not only the Expo after the first warp gate, but also the robotics facility straight away, which is a very, very greedy build to execute. And yeah, you can get punished very, very easily for that. And all the aggression of the Terran player, even if he goes for an expansion player, will end you fairly soon, because you just don't have those production capabilities that you need in order to stop a push in that case. Right now we have both players on roughly the same amount of supply, 50 against 54. The army supply is in favor of Strelok. HasuObs has more workers than his opponent because of the chrono boost that he's able to use, and we have of course those mules for Strelok as well. But the Ghost Academy being placed by Strelok, and this could be some nice Ghost timing push. They are really, really strong, especially if you're able to hit your opponent's units with those EMPs. So if HasuObs is clustering his units, Strelok could be in a very, very good position in the upcoming fight. There's one sentry so far, and of course it all depends a little bit on the amount of sentry that the Protoss player uses. HasuObs is going for a very fast tech. He's going for that Colossus already, researching extended thermal lance. Therefore he doesn't have all that much gas left. He only has 3 sentries now, and if those sentries are being hit by 1 EMP, then HasuObs will be in a lot of trouble. I've seen games of HasuObs in this King of the Hill where he played Tarson, and Tarson executed on Shattered Temple a similar strategy than the one Strelok is starting right now. A very, very well-timed push with Ghosts, and he was able to annihilate HasuObs. HasuObs didn't stand a chance, but I think by now he's able to react to that push that apparently surprised him quite a lot the last time. So now the Terran player is moving out, but that attempt is being scouted by HasuObs. The observer saw the force of the Terran player, and now the +1 attack upgrade is being researched for Strelok as well, getting that factory. HasuObs will be ready with the extended thermal lance by the time the Terran player arrives at his main base. And where are those ghosts? There are 2 of them in the mix. They are in the back of the army, and now it all depends on positioning and how well those EMPs are being placed. So there's the army of HasuObs, and he's not allowed to cluster his army like that. And there's 1 EMP only hitting 1 sentry, but the second one was way better. Oh my god, this was beautifully executed, but those 2 Colossus are dealing so much damage to the Bioforce. Very nice second EMP, but the Colossus actually save HasuObs. 1 is dead already. The second one will probably die as well. Oh, some miss micro Hasu. He should have walked in the opposite direction, losing that Colossus as well. And that attack by Strelok dealt a lot of damage to the Protoss player, but he still was able to defend against it. The loss of those 2 Colossus is huge, though. He shouldn't have lost those 2 Colossus. One of them was dead anyways when Strelok stimmed in, but still the second one he could have saved with a little bit of micro. And HasuObs now is on 37 army supply against 27. He lost some workers to that push. 8 workers were killed by Strelok. Strelok is expanding now once again, and HasuObs at the same time pushing out, trying to deal some damage to his opponent as well. This Colossus will of course reinforce the army. We have sentries in the mix as again. And how many are there? Any ghosts for Strelok right now? No, there aren't. 2 of them are being built, and there's a decent bioforce by the Terran player. We have 2 medivacs in the mix as well by now. The Stargate at the starport is ready, and now Strelok is taking position against his opponent, but HasuObs trying to eliminate those destructible debris in order to get access to the 3rd base of his opponent. So far there are no Vikings whatsoever in the army mix of Strelok, and he's not trying to get any as well. 2 Colossus so far, fair amount of Stalkers and a lot of Zealots. HasuObs now warping in additional units. There are 2 pylons, 1 is ready, the second one being built. Here's the Guardian Shield, and here's the Protoss player moving in for the kill, setting all those force fields, killing the Ghosts. No EMPs by the Ghosts just yet, and there are so many units dying for Strelok right now. 92 against 94 supply at the top. You have 1 force field blocking the reinforcers of Strelok.
but the Terran player was able to kill a lot of gateway units by now as well. Strelok in a bad position nonetheless, as HasuObs is moving in, is trying to retreat a bit right now, walking right into that planetary fortress, taking 1 or 2 hits, and HasuObs really has to try to keep those Colossus alive. The third Colossus is joining the army, and by now Strelok already has the first Vikings in the mix as well, taking 2 of the Colossus down. And now on the 79 against 82 supply, HasuObs is once again reinforcing his army with additional Zealots. 1 Colossus still in the mix, no upgrades whatsoever for the Protoss player, while Strelok already finished his +1 attack upgrade, is getting the armor upgrade as well. It's nearly finished by now, and we have HasuObs with another whopping round. Zealots, all of them, no charge as of yet. 60 against 53 army supply, and he's engaging once again. A lot of medivacs, force fields being placed down. The Zealots in a lot of trouble, being killed by the Terran player, but of course that Colossus is so important, and it's dying to the Vikings of Strelok, and the Terran player is moving out now. Still a lot of pressure by HasuObs. He's on 46 probes against 33 SCVs. Strelok lost a fair amount of workers at the last attack of HasuObs. He lost 28 workers. His economy is crippled, and he really needs to rebuild his worker force and call down a lot of mules in order to make up for that discrepancy in the worker supply. HasuObs with sentries still trying to contain his opponent, and he's actually getting a lot of probes. Apparently HasuObs is going for some kind of all-in, just making sure that all of his probes from the main base are entering the fight, as well as a meat shield at the same time. The Terran player is losing a lot of bio units to those force fields. HasuObs trapping the Marauders, and here come the probes. HasuObs going in for the kill. 89 supply against 67. He's moving in, occupying all those Marauders. Guardian shield, another Guardian shield, and he's taking down the bunker. And Strelok is losing a lot, a ton of Marines and Marauders right now, but pulling his SCVs as well. And Hasu with only gateway units, no upgrades whatsoever. Strelok on 1-1 upgrades is doing an awesome job at defending. Will Strelok take this game after all, take this best-of-5 series with a 3-1 win? There is 1 immortal for HasuObs in the mix by now, but he's being annihilated right away, being focus fired by the Marauders, but they're not enough units for Strelok. He's losing all his Marauders, he's losing SCVs as well. 33 workers killed by Strelok, and HasuObs was able to kill 53 in the course of this game. The players are down to 35 against 41 supply. This is kind of insane. We have 26 against 21 army supply, only 11 worker supply for Strelok, but he still has those mules. Will it be enough? I seriously doubt it, but still, oh my god, what an insane game. This is just totally retarded. We have HasuObs pulling probes. I've never seen him do that. Getting into an awesome position against those mules, taking down mule by mule, worker by worker. That planetary fortress is not able to kill the stalkers, and he's still containing the Terran player in his main base. By now, Strelok has a decent force once again, but he can't really walk down that ramp. There's 1 force field already. Let's have a look at the army supply. 39 for the Terran player, 27, 25 for HasuObs, but his economy is so much better right now. He's getting another Colossus, and now HasuObs is retreating with all his units. He's just walking back to his own base. Let's have a look at the income. Hasu's income is way superior to the income of the Ukrainian Terran player. As you can see, he's on 27 worker supply against 10, and of course the Terran player has to use his mules now, but still, with only 10 SCVs, he will be in a lot of trouble if he's not able to deal some damage himself, because HasuObs is getting the second Colossus, and all that Strelok has is his Bioforce. He only has Marines and Marauders. He has the 1-1 upgrade, but still, this is going to be a close one. Taking down that pile, and HasuObs with 72 supply right now. 59 for the Terran player. Right now, there's a nice favor. The game is in favor of HasuObs, but he has to defend against that push swapping in additional zealots. He's on 76 against 64 supply. The army supply is about even. And there's the Guardian Shield. HasuObs approaching, using those force fields. Immediately Strelok countering with the stim, trying to get away from those force fields and taking down the sentries. 2 of the sentries are already dead, but the Terran player has to retreat again. 64 supply against 59, and this game is just so close right now. 16 SCVs against 27 probes, and it looks like HasuObs will be able to hold those 2. Colossus are so crucial, and Hasu is not losing one of them. He's retreating just in time to save that Colossus, and now Strelok stimming in, taking down that Colossus, but at what cost? He's losing a Medivac, he's losing 2 Marauders and a Marine as well, just to kill that 1 Colossus, and now his army is dwindling in numbers. It's 44 supply against 62. The army supply is 27 to 39, and HasuObs once again on the move. The German Protoss player is walking towards the main base of his opponent, trying to end this game right now. Killing those Marauders, chasing them off, and there are the reinforcements. HasuObs taking the fight, and here come the force fields. And with 72 against 47 supply, the German player is looking quite good in this game. Quite well, as you can see, he's attacking the natural expansion once again, annihilating the mules, trapping them with 2 beautiful force fields. Very, very well done, and still containing the Terran player. There's 1 observer in position in order to scout the upper parts of the ramp, to scout the high ground, and those force fields will prevent the Terran player from moving down. That's the GG by Strelok, and we will see a 5th game in this King of the Hill of StarCraft World IT. Woohoo! Game number 5, Strelok against HasuObs, StarCraft World IT, King of the Hill. Once again, we have a deciding map between the 2 players. The Terran versus Protoss it is today. The Ukraine against Germany. We have Strelok in blue once again at the right side of the map. It's Shakura's Plateau. And to the right side, we have HasuObs, the German Protoss player. The last games have been really, really entertaining. Kind of weird though, I have to admit that, but they were quite entertaining. Especially Terminus was really fun to stream, and of course Tal'Darim Altar as well. But right now we are going to focus on Shakura's Plateau. Of course, this is a map where it's fairly easy to get an expansion. Doesn't matter if you are Protoss or if you are a Terran player. It's very, very easy to get a natural expansion. As you can see at that expo spot, there's only that ramp that you have to take care of, and there are 2 bunkers or force fields. And well, it's bunkers if you're a Terran player, of course, and it's force fields if you are a Protoss player. You can wall that off quite easily and therefore kill any attempt of your opponent to put pressure on you. Any aggression is shut down immediately. So I expect that we are going to see a long game. Shakura's Plateau is a map where we've seen some of the best matches in the past. And let's have a look what Strelok is doing. He could do another no-gas expansion on a map like this. Right now, he's not getting a refinery. His barracks is already being built. HasuObs scouting with 1 probe. Is checking out the wrong start position first. The Marine will pop out at 3 minutes and 3 seconds, so HasuObs should be fine with his probe. Will be able to sneak into the base if Strelok is not trying to get a second supply depot in order to wall off. And that's exactly what he's doing. So HasuObs doesn't get any scouting information whatsoever. He doesn't know that Strelok is not getting gas, is not getting that refinery. He might assume it, but that's about it. And there's the 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Oh, Strelok a little bit slow with that Marine, but still, those 2 seconds don't matter all too much. As you can see, HasuObs placing down an additional panel. Of course, he wants to get that expansion as well. Strelok is already saving up minerals to produce his command center. Here we go. Command center is being built, and HasuObs is getting his warp gate technology already getting in position to warp in a nexus. And here comes the probe. Come. Attaboy. Great.
Nexus, early Nexus for HasuObs, early expansion for Strelok. This is exactly what we wanted to see, because right now everything's set for a nice long macro game. That's what you want for a 5th game. So let's have a look at what the Terran player is doing. Once again, with these, we see those 2 barracks at the same time in order to get the production capabilities to defend against incoming pushes. We have those refineries being built by Strelok again at the same time. Let's have a look at what HasuObs is doing. He's getting additional gateways. Gateway number 1 would actually expect the 3rd gateway, and then the 3rd gateway coming up, and then the robotics facility for the Terran player. His warping technology is nearly done, and once again, of course, HasuObs is scouting and didn't check those APM the whole game. I want to see if one of those players is spamming actions permit like crazy, but none of them actually is. So the expansion is already being upgraded to the orbital command, will be moved down to the natural, and at the same time, of course, that bunker is being built for Strelok. We've been talking about that in the early stages of the game. Those ramps are really easy to defend, and therefore a bunker will do, as long as HasuObs is not going for some 6-gate play or something like that. What Strelok should actually do is just send one of his marines out and kill those probes of the Xel'Naga watchtowers, take them himself. The only thing that HasuObs can do is send out his zealots, but so far he's absolutely content with getting those probes, and as we expected, HasuObs is getting at a robotics facility right now. Will get, of course, an observer as fast as possible for once to deal with incoming Banshee attacks, and of course also to scout what his opponent is up to. The Ukrainian player by now added add-ons. We have Tech Lab for the combat shield, we have another Tech Lab for Stim, and the barracks for the Marines. And this time Strelok is playing a little bit more defensive than he did on the last map. Well, he was kind of aggressive on Terminus, but as you can see now, he is focusing on Combat Shield instead of Stim. We have both players just trying to get a decent economy. We have 35 to 31 workers right now, and with the Combat Shield being about to be completed and Concussive Shell as well, Strelok is now moving out, just having a look at how much damage he will be able to deal to his opponent. He's taking out that probe, and the Stalker was just retreating in time because Concussive Shell is already done, being able to slow down his opponent. There's the Stim upgrade and the +1 attack. The Engineering Bay is already done as well. Those 2 sentries, nice HasuObs splitting the sentries, and the force fields will be able to wall off completely. There you go. So that's exactly what was to be expected, of course. Strelok didn't really think that he could kill his opponent, but at least with applying that pressure, he's able to take the initiative, he's able to take the Xel'Naga watchtowers, therefore has a very, very good control of the map, and HasuObs once again trying to get those Colossus. The robotics bay has been finished. He needs to research the extended thermal lens upgrade now, but has been investing additional gas into those sentries as soon as Strelok moved out. And at the same time, we have one proxy pollen by HasuObs trying to get additional scouting information by warping in a zealot and just walking towards the 3rd base, the potential 3rd base of his opponent. Right now, an additional starport is being built for the Terran player. At the same time, he's trying to get detection, building a missile turrets right at the front, at the choke, to make sure that no DTs are jumping into his base and killing his workers, the pylon being killed. And HasuObs is doing basically the same thing that he did on, or something similar that he did on Tal'Darim. He's now going for a lot of gateways. He really loves to play gateway heavy. He's on 2 bases right now and getting the first forge. As soon as he's able to get the 3rd base, he will get a 2nd forge to get the double upgrades, and is now getting that observer. He has the abilities to get Colossus as well already, is not using that though, and the Twilight Council is put to some good use as he's researching charge once again. He's a player that is really fond of charge. He really loves his gateway style, and we've seen Hasu building in a crazy amount of warp gates after securing a 3rd and a 4th base in order to be able to replenish his army as soon as the fight is over, just getting 1 or 2 warp in rounds, and then he's back on 200 supply. He overdid it with workers on Tal'Darim Altar. I don't think he'll do that on this map. He will be a little bit more careful. We have the probe already in position to get a third base. There's already one warp in pylon, so he can warp in units if Strelok is sending over 1 or 2 marauders, something like that. And at the same time, HasuObs relying once again on the Dark Templars. So he basically opened every tech there is. He is able to get Colossus if he need be. He's able to get High Templars. He's researching. Storm right now is getting the Forge as well, the second Forge already at the same time that he's going to build that third base. We've talked about that as well. Of course, you need a lot of gas if you want to use all those techs. And he's running away with the probe, not getting the third base just yet. Let's have a look at the army supply. 74 for Strelok and 54 for HasuObs. The Terran player has Ghosts in the mix already. Is getting the +1 armor upgrade. He's already on +1 attack. And now Vikings as well. HasuObs is on only 115 supply. And right now Strelok is looking pretty good. He definitely can deny that third base if he walks towards that spot over here. Can kill all those pylons, the probe as well. And HasuObs is aware that there are a lot of units for the Terran player right now. He has 1 observer in position, and at the same time we have 1 drop in the main base of HasuObs, taking out the robotics. The robotics facility has been taken out, that photon cannon as well. Now the Protoss player streaming in the Zealots, forcing the Terran player to retreat, and simultaneously Strelok is walking towards the potential third base, killing that pylon. Will walk. No, he actually doesn't. I expected him to go south again in order to scout the start position, but he doesn't do that at all. He's on 150 supply against 130 right now, and there's still those ghosts for the EMPs, but with those force fields, HasuObs is fairly safe. He's warping in additional units. He's on 6 High Templars right now. That's a lot of storms for the Protoss player, and there are only 4 Medivacs. So with some feedbacks, he could be able to take out those Medivacs as well. That storm was pretty nice though, and now HasuObs is moving out. Charge is ready. Guardian Shield is up, and here comes the Protoss player using storm force fields and of course the charge ability of his gateway units. And now Strelok lost all his Medivacs, is not able to heal his body. He needs to retreat. HasuObs dealing some beautiful damage to the Terran player. Strelok is expanding once again, getting a third command center, and of course now with that attack going on, HasuObs expanding himself, getting that third Nexus up and running. He's on 131 supply. He has 1,000 spare minerals, a lot of gas as well, and his army supply is on 71 against 81 right now. But he's not daring to approach the Terran player at this choke point. He's not walking up that ramp, and for good reason. At the same time, we have Strelok with 1 factory hovering over his potential third base, and of course HasuObs now with 4 Templar as he warped 2 of them into that Archon that you can see hovering over there. HasuObs on 1/1 upgrades by now as well. Strelok is researching the +2 attack upgrade, is trying to get ahead in upgrades, but HasuObs using his Chrono Boost, as you can see, getting those dual upgrades that we've been talking about earlier. He loves to do that, getting as many upgrades as possible, as fast as possible. And when you're a Protoss player, you can actually squeeze out those additional upgrades a little bit faster with the help of Chrono Boost. But so far, HasuObs isn't overdoing it with this Chrono Boost all that much. He's not on 100. Well, he actually is on 100. Energy, and that's exactly what we've been talking about earlier. So HasuObs missing the opportunity to Chrono Boost his forges right now. It's not as easy as it seems, denying that third base though, and that's a huge deal because his own third base is already up and running, being secured by 1 photon cannon, and he should probably get 1 or 2 additional cannons behind the mineral patches, as Strelok can be expected to drop the third base of the Protoss player at some point in time. By now we have the +2 attack upgrade nearly done for Strelok. He's getting an additional command center right now. And once again, trying to get into position at his third base, trying to get that planetary fortress. And moving out now, army supplies 130 for the Terran player, 113 for the Protoss. And now there are EMP storms everywhere, area of effect damage. And some beautiful storms, nice EMPs, but Strelok isn't actually doing that much damage with the EMPs. He's not, no, that was a very, very well planned attack by Strelok. He's got access to all those sentries, taken out all the sentries of his opponent, and HasuObs has to retreat. Even though he placed down some nice force fields, he wasn't able to do all that much damage. Strelok reacted very, very well, was able to save most of the army from that damage of the storms, retreated, and was able to take out the sentries. There was no Guardian Shield left, and now the Terran player in a commanding position is now streaming towards the main base of his opponent, trying to take out that Archon and that additional units that have been warped in. But some very nice storms by HasuObs, dealing a lot of damage to the Terran player. Very well done, but there are too few units for HasuObs to hold those forces of Strelok. But as you can see, all those Marauders are down to 20 or 30, 20 to 30 health right now. He's getting another storm at the ram. Very, very well done. The Stalkers are sniping all those medivacs. An additional round of warp-ins for the Protoss player. Very, very well done by HasuObs. And Strelok's kind of overcommitting to this attack at this point of time. So very, very nice by HasuObs. I wouldn't have expected him to be that effective against the force of Strelok, but Strelok was just walking up that ramp. All his units were clustered at that small entrance, and therefore the storm was used to its fullest extent, dealing a huge amount of damage. But the reinforcements of Strelok are just too many. HasuObs really has to try to get some additional storms, or he doesn't have enough energy on that High Templar. In the meantime, Strelok is expanding once again, one Archon being morphed, and where are all those units of HasuObs? He's trying to get in with additional High Templars. Where are those storms? He needs those storms. The Medivacs don't have that much energy left, so the storms will deal a lot of damage and can't be countered. He's warping in additional units at the same time. Strelok is trying to attack the natural expansion as well. Will he be able to take down the third? No, he won't. There are additional warp-ins by Hasu streaming in, charging in, and the Archons are ready as well. And we have one expansion by Strelok being upgraded into an orbital command, calling down mules while reinforcing his army non-stop. And HasuObs is down to 98 supply against 119. The army of supply of Strelok is nearly double the army supply of HasuObs. HasuObs not using his chrono boosts very well right now. We have the Terran player on 2-1 upgrades, researching the +3 attack upgrade. At the same time, HasuObs is already on 2-2. Will he be able to get in some additional storms? He won't. The Templars don't have that much energy. Without the KotH amulet, they are not able to get an instant storm. And HasuObs at least able to deny that third base with the help of those gateway units. But still the Terran player is in a commanding position. He's taking the initiative in the game. And I don't think that was actually intended to get those medivacs loaded with Marauders and the Marines, but here comes another attack, and what about, nice storm, and a second very, very well placed storm. And Strelok isn't doing all too much to dodge those storms. The Marauders have some trouble dealing with those Archons, but 2 Archons won't be enough. Archons and 5 Templars will be, though. And as you can see, Strelok is losing unit after unit right now. He lost a lot of resources. Both players on roughly 19,000 resources lost. And here come the Marauders once again. Strelok really loves this Marauder play. He really loves the Marauders. We have HasuObs blinking after his opponent, trying to chase down additional units of the Terran player, still on 100 supply, and the Ukrainian Terran on 115, 63 army supply against 45. HasuObs still fighting, still trying to stay in this game, and Strelok once again applying pressure, trying to take down the economy of his opponent, trying to take down all those probes, and he's pretty successful, but once again, he's clustered and the storm hits the whole army. There's not enough energy for the second storm though, but the army of HasuObs is trying to force Strelok to fight, is trying to kill all those Marauders and Marines.
But at the same time, the Terran player accumulated in a new force trying to attack the natural expansion. The Storms do a huge amount of damage to the Terran army though, and it's being cleared while Strelok is moving in towards the expansion. The second base of HasuObs will fall, and it's still on full energy. That Nexus he's not using his Chrono Boost all too well. By now he doesn't have the resources, so it doesn't make any sense at all. But early on he should have Chrono Boosted not only his gateways a little bit more often, but also those forces in order to squeeze out the upgrades a little bit earlier. And we have a lot of Archons now for HasuObs. He's still fighting. He's trying to stay in this game. He lost his natural expansion, but it doesn't matter all too much because there are no mineral patches left whatsoever anyways. He's trying to get an additional Nexus, trying to get a second mining base. He's still in possession of this one base in the back, so Strelok was not able to take that out. At the same time, the Terran player is harvesting from two bases as well. He has that base over there with the Planetary Fortress. Here's the base that he took as a third base, and in his main base and at the natural expansion, all those mineral patches are gone by now, and there's another attempt. Nice! Strelok trying to drop on top of the cliff, losing 2 fully loaded medivacs, and now Strelok trying to deal at least some damage, trying to at least take some of the tech buildings out, but HasuObs with that nice move was able to take out 2 of the medivacs, and Strelok lost a lot of units. He's losing all of them units. He's losing all those medivacs, 4 of them, and the Marines and Marauders as well. That was huge, and that might be a turning point in this game. We have Strelok on 113 supply right now, 104 for HasuObs. The Terran player on 67 army supply, HasuObs on 58. 52 workers against 52, and 3 ghosts are being built while HasuObs is warping in Dark Templars. Ghosts against Dark Templars. Well, not Ghosts against the Templars, but well, both sides actually trying to get some tech units into the game. And Strelok also researching the +2 armor upgrade. He's ahead in upgrades. He will be ahead in upgrades. He already has the +3 attack upgrade, +1 armor. And what about those units of HasuObs? Where are those bloody TTs? I actually don't know. There's one of them. And how many High Templars are there? 8 of them. 8 High Templars, 5 Archons, 8 Stalkers. He's trying to kill the back door. And let's have another look at the army supply. Strelok still in the lead. 110 against 82. And his upgrades are not all too bad, are they? He's on. He will be on 3-2 in a minute or two, getting the Möbius reactor right now for his ghosts. He should actually have gotten that way earlier. I think he missed it. I actually didn't realize that he didn't research it already. He already has 4 ghosts in the mix, and they will be able to cast some EMPs. Here we go. There are the Stalkers. Oh, careful, careful. Blinking away just in time, getting the extended thermal lance right now. We've been talking about the robotics bay early in the game. He got it really early, directly after the robotics facility, but he didn't put it to any use just yet. He was relying on High Templar and Archons and of course his gateway units up to this point, but now he's researching the extended thermal lance upgrade. The first Colossus is already out on the field, and now 182 supply against 150. Strelok approaching once again. Möbius reactor is done, +2 armor, not just yet. And HasuObs is waiting. He's still waiting for his extended thermal lance. Where are those EMPs? A lot of EMPs going down, but they don't hit a lot of units. Those EMPs were kind of worthless, and those storms are dealing a number on Strelok. Strelok losing way too many hit points there. He's dropping at the same time, trying to drop into the main base of his opponent, but not dealing a lot of damage. HasuObs is on top of the situation, warping in additional units, and Strelok, he lost way too many hit points on those beautiful storms. The medivacs are actually working like crazy in order to replenish those hit points, but now HasuObs is moving in, and he had to restart extended thermal lance. Actually, no, he didn't. The bloody robotics bay has been unpowered. Very nice timing by Strelok, but will it be enough? He has a huge lead right now. He's on 168 supply against 116. He doesn't have enough hit points. Will there be another storm? There won't be another storm, but the Colossus is not being targeted by the Bio Army, and those units of Strelok just don't have enough units to kill that Protoss army. There have been way too many stims. There have been way too many stims for Strelok, and not enough medivacs to make up for those hit points lost. And he definitely needs to get another pilot in order to power that robotics bay once again, which is exactly what he's doing right now. So HasuObs fighting without the extended thermal lens, but doing a pretty good job at that. We have another expansion for the Protoss player at the bottom of the map. He's getting another Nexus now, and at the same time, the Terran player is expanding as well as trying to get additional income. We have those two players on 132 supply against 142. Let's have another look at the army supply. 91 against 73. And by now, extended thermal lens is done. HasuObs has to rebuild his Dark Shrine though, as Strelok was able to take it out. 2-2 upgrades for the Terran player, for the Protoss player. 3-2 for the Terran. So Strelok is slightly ahead in upgrades. So look at the resources. Lost 30,000 for HasuObs and 32,000 resources lost for Strelok. How many Marauders is that? We are back to 35 Marauders and 2 ghosts getting additional 5 Marauders. Strelok really likes the Marauders. He really does. He played with 57 Marauders in Tal'Darim Altan. Right now he's already on 41. He might even be able to outdo the numbers of Marauders that he used on the second map. 171 supply against 157. The income is right now in favor of Strelok. He has 2,000 minerals per minute, but HasuObs isn't that far behind. He's pretty good on gas. He's pretty good in gas, in terms of gas, a lot of it. And now warping in units to the high ground, trying to put pressure on that expansion of Strelok, and doing a good job of that. There are no units whatsoever. There are some of them are just trying to walk up that ramp in order to kill that army of the Zerg player, of the Protoss player in time. But all those SCVs are already gone. 15 workers killed by Strelok and 13 by HasuObs. So as you can see, the Terran player trying to engage once again, but he really needs to improve on those EMPs. The EMPs that he used in the last fights were horrible. They were really horrible. He didn't hit those High Templars at all, and he didn't kill all that many shields of the gateway units neither. So actually that was pretty bad. But I think in this fight he might be able to pay a little bit more attention to his EMPs. There are 2 ghosts, and how many? Oh, 53 Marauders already, and here we go. The EMPs, beautiful EMPs, killing all those shields. Oh, HasuObs, he's losing so many units right now, and the Colossus are helpless, but Strelok is not daring to engage in that position. He's not trying to squeeze in there because he's afraid of all those storms, and he indeed should be, because there are still High Templars left and they have energy for at least 1 or 2 storms. 195 supply for Strelok now. He's on 200 supply. He's maxed once again, and the Protoss player is trying to kill additional units with those Dark Templars, warping them on the high ground, but the pylon has been killed, the DT as well, and now one of the observers might die as well. Hasu has a fair amount of observers. He has 4 observers and 2 DTs on the map. Nice storm, but the DT paid for it with his life. At the same time, another EMP kills the shields of 2 Stalkers and 2 Zealots. That's about it, but still 50 supply ahead, and stimming in once again, Strelok. Oh, defensive storms by HasuObs, trying to slow down the approach of his opponent, but 150 army supply against 88. There are the EMPs, there are the storms. Once again, the stim of Strelok taking so many hit points of his Marauders. The addicts are just walking into the storms. They just don't care. They don't feel anything. Way too many syringes being used. That can't be healthy. But the Nexus will die, getting sniped by Strelok's Marauders, and this looks pretty grim for HasuObs right now. This looks really grim for Hasu. He's trying to take those Marauders apart, but that's not an easy job. The Medivacs, they don't have any energy left, but does it really matter? There is so much damage output for the Terran player. He's using stim on every occasion that he gets, overstimming quite a lot in my opinion, especially because he only has about 5 Medivacs in order to heal that huge force, but still it seems to be enough to throw HasuObs back, and Hasu is struggling. The German player, he is struggling. He still has a mining base, as does his opponent, Strelok, with that expansion at the bottom right. And HasuObs still has a lot of minerals left. He has 1,300. He's lacking gas just a little bit, but he can, of course, always warp in additional zealots. Now that Dark Templar trying to deny that additional expo for Strelok, and things like that could win that game for HasuObs. After all, he's trying to get back into the game. He's struggling a lot against that pressure of the Terran player, but he's not defeated just yet. He's still on 160 supply against 191. We have the German player on 90 army supply against 145. Let's have a look at the army tab. 53 Marauders, 30 Marines, 9 Medivacs by now, so he has a lot more healing capabilities by now, and still those 2 Ghosts, while there are 8 High Templars, and it all depends on those EMPs. Will Strelok be able to take down those High Templars in time, at least rid them of their energy so he can avoid the storms, or will Hasu be able to get in some position where he can use the storms to their full extent, deal that area of effect damage to the Terran player? But now Strelok is making sure that he's not walking in some trap. He's splitting his army. He's trying to get a good position, using that EMP, hitting some of the zealots, but none, well, actually one of the High Templars, but that's about it. And there's HasuObs approaching, retreating, 180 supply against 200, and there's still, of course, that High Templar denying that expo. And here's another fight, another round of warped in zealots. Nice storms from the high ground. And what is HasuObs doing? He's down to 160 supply, tries to approach, getting another beautiful storms into the army of his opponent, but still those Marauders, they just don't die. They just refuse to die. Another storm hits the bio units of Strelok, and what's happening right now is HasuObs able to take down that army of Strelok. He's able to take down a lot of the Marauders. He's killing so many of them, but there are a lot of units in the back. HasuObs' army, it's not fighting, not all of the units fighting. There's one lazy Archon not doing a thing. He's a pretty damn coward, but it doesn't matter because HasuObs is taking down the army of Strelok. I mean, what the hell? He's able to kill the army of Strelok, kill all those Marauders. He's just using storms relentlessly, taking down hit point by hit point. But will it be enough? Still, Strelok with 56 army supply against 54, and oh my god, HasuObs, this guy is a beast. This is incredible. He's just so stable in his play. He's always making sure that he stays in the game, and he never gives up. He never gives up. If there's a fighting chance, he'll stay in the game, and that's what he did the whole time. Strelok was just trying to put pressure on him the entire game. He was attacking one wave after another. Marauders, Ghosts, Marines, everything in the arsenal, in the bio arsenal of the Terran player, and HasuObs, he is going for those storms, making sure that the EMPs don't hit his High Templars. Very good positioning by the Protoss player from Germany. And this might win him the game. That's a GG! That's the GG! That's it! Strelok leaving the game. He knows about those expansions of his opponent. And this is just too much for him. HasuObs is wearing down. Strelok is wearing down that Terran player. This is just amazing. The new king of the hill is Dennis HasuObs Schneider, StarCraft World IT Champion, taking the €100 prize money. This is brilliant. Very well done by HasuObs. Strelok losing 3-2 after pulling ahead 2 times. He's losing the deciding 5th game. This is just insane. Congratulations to HasuObs. Very, very well done. Oh my god.